Everyone says life gets heavier after 60, but here's what almost no man admits out loud. Your life actually gets lighter the moment it finally becomes yours again. No demands, no emotional landmines, just you, and the shocking realization that peace was always possible. You feel it before you understand it, and that truth lands harder at 60 than anywhere before. You didn't waste those years, you survived them. And once a man feels that kind of lightness, he starts wondering how heavy life used to be and why he accepted it for so long. Freedom from pressure, expectations, and emotional burden. When a man passes 60, something unexpected happens the day he finally lives on his own. Men your age don't talk about it, but they feel it instantly. You weren't tired because of age. You were tired because your home kept asking more from you than you could give. I know a man in his late 60s who said the same thing. He didn't feel old, he just felt like he'd been carrying the wrong weight for too long. And none of that was your failure. You showed up the best way any man could. Most men don't resent the people they loved. They resent the invisible assignment of fixing emotions that weren't theirs. There's a strange ease when you are no longer expected to manage emotions that aren't yours. You come home, and the space doesn't expect anything from you. You can feel the difference before you can explain it. That first breath of your own life hits deeper than expected. It's funny how freedom shows up quietly long before you realize it's finally yours. If that line felt familiar, a quiet like is enough for me to know you've lived this part too. You weren't tired of life. You were tired of constantly adjusting yourself to someone else's emotional weather. Sometimes you had to predict the forecast in your own house before you even knew how your day went. And the first days alone show you that clearly because your mind finally moves at your pace, not theirs. That's when the realization lands. You weren't weak back then, you were overloaded. Any man in your position would have felt the same. A man breaks when he carries what was never his. Your morning finally feels like a clean start again. You start hearing your own mind instead of managing someone else's reactions. You didn't step back. You stepped into a life that finally fits you. Your strength didn't fade with age. It was waiting for space to stand up straight again. It shows in the way you stand. People may not understand why you seem more grounded now. You know exactly what changed. Freedom from emotional burden doesn't make a man lonely, it makes him clear. And clarity is the first gift of a life that finally belongs to you. Have you ever felt this shift yourself? The discipline and self-reliance that make a man stronger. Ask yourself something simple. When life finally got quiet, did you notice how your hands remembered what to do? Every older man has this moment, whether he admits it or not. That's the part nobody tells you. Watch what happens when a man finally has no one to answer to. A man doesn't become disciplined because he wants to. He becomes disciplined because silence removes every excuse he used to hide behind. You wake up and the day is yours. No one rushing you. Just you and whatever needs doing. The first week alone feels strange. You reach for help that isn't there. But something clicks when you realize nobody is coming and you're still standing. And that's the moment a man remembers who he is. Every older man laughs at this part because it feels like his backbone finally clocked back in for duty. You fix what you can, and presence builds a man faster than perfection ever did. Every older man smiles at this part, but your confidence grows in the small victories, tightening a loose hinge, cooking something decent, showing up for your body instead of waiting for motivation. Discipline isn't a punishment at this age. It's the reward for finally having space to be yourself. It's a kind of freedom. You answer to yourself now. Nobody else's moods, nobody else's timeline, nobody else's frustration. And that responsibility doesn't weigh you down. It steadies you. A man who handles his own life radiates something different. There's a steadiness in you now that younger men can't imitate. Pause here. This is the first sign your nervous system finally trusts you again. Not arrogance. Living alone didn't make you tougher. It made you honest about the parts of yourself that were waiting for space to grow. Self-reliance feels good, not because you're proving anything, but because it reminds you you're still capable of more than people assumed. Not in a gym, right here, in the quiet discipline of a man rebuilding his own life from the inside out. The healing power of a quiet home. Most men don't realize this until they've lived alone long enough. Peace doesn't feel soft. It feels like strength returning to your bone. Stay here for a moment. This part explains more about your life than you think. A steady home doesn't soothe you, it resets you. It doesn't change its temperature depending on someone's mood. You start noticing small things, your heartbeat calming faster after a long day. That tells you a lot. Your body always knew what it needed. You just never had room to feel it. A quiet home teaches you more about yourself than years of advice ever could. Sometimes the biggest relief is realizing nothing in your home is waiting to react to you. Your body relaxing without being told to relax. Silence lets your whole system finally unclench the way it should have years ago. Peter, an older man next door, once told me the first night he lived alone, he slept like someone had finally turned off the alarms in his chest. It's the kind of shift a man notices only when life stops pulling him in every direction. You're recovering from years where your nervous system never got a break. That kind of home gives you that break and slows the pace of your life back to something human, not weaker but clearer. It simply removes the noise that kept you from hearing your own strength. This space becomes the place where your next chapter grows. It hands you back the pieces of yourself you lost while trying to keep everyone else steady. And once you taste that kind of peace, how has this new peace shifted your inner rhythm? Share one word that captures the feeling below. The freedom to build brotherhood and healthy social circles. You pour a cup of coffee, step outside, and see two older men laughing about something small, a joke only longtime friends would understand. Pause here. You've seen this moment before, and in that moment, you understand something most men discover too late. Because that kind of freedom is rare when your life used to revolve around keeping the peace at home. Living single after 60 doesn't isolate you. It gives you the space to choose the people who actually bring you energy, not people who treat your presence like a service. You're not getting older in the way people expect. You're getting clearer in a way they can't. This matters more at 60 than it ever did at 30. People who meet you as a man and not as a resource. Most older men don't crave crowds. At this age, if a man wants noise, he'll start his motorbike, not an argument. They crave honesty, and brotherhood delivers that in a way romantic relationships often forget. You join a morning motorbike ride, or grab lunch with someone who's lived enough to understand your silence without questioning it. The beauty of these connections is simple. You don't have to shrink to fit them. There's no subtle competition. No invisible scoreboard measuring who did more. That's why conversations flow easier now. Men your age don't need small talk. They've earned the right to speak only when it matters. Just men, talking about life, helping each other without making a ceremony out of it. When you were younger, friendships had to squeeze between responsibilities. Now they grow in the open. They match your pace instead of pulling you into someone else's storm. There's something powerful in that. And if you're the kind of man who values this kind of freedom, you can subscribe and walk this road with the rest of us. A man becomes lighter when the people around him aren't waiting to correct him, control him, or judge how he spends his time. Brotherhood keeps you young in ways medicine can't measure. A conversation after a ride, a quiet nod from a friend who understands a chapter of your life without needing an explanation. Moments like these show you something simple. You're surrounded by people you chose. That's the privilege of this age, choosing your circle instead of surviving it. You're walking with people you actually chose. You're building a circle that respects your peace, your age, your growth. And that circle strengthens you without touching your freedom. Healthy friendship doesn't take anything away. It gives you back the parts of yourself that were buried under years of managing everyone else's expectations. And once a man feels the weight of real brotherhood, the kind that stands solid without needing to be loud, he understands why life after 60 can be the most grounded, most connected, and most satisfying season he's ever lived. Unlimited space for learning, creativity, and passion projects. Most men don't realize this until much later. The moment life finally becomes your own, you learn faster than you did in your 40s. Freedom wakes up your mind in ways youth never could. Hold that thought. This is where your second wind begins. Because once life becomes your own again, curiosity wakes up without permission. You find yourself returning to things you once set aside, not to prove anything, but to feel alive in a way you haven't for years. This is important. When no one interrupts your flow, your brain wakes up in ways younger men won't understand for decades. Your ideas come without friction. It's surprising how creative a man becomes once nothing in his life is pulling at him. And the time you thought you didn't have suddenly stretches open. Learning at this age isn't about proving anything. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself that got buried under responsibility. Maybe it's a skill you paused decades ago, or a subject you always wanted to understand. Whatever it is, it rises naturally when you finally have time for it. My friend, a retired engineer who rebuilt his old workshop at 65 just to see if his hands remembered, they did. And something about that exploration rewires you. It's growth, real growth, the kind that only appears when a man finally gets to build something for himself. And you've spent too many years trapped in environments that demanded patience but offered no stimulation. Now you get to choose your challenge, and that choice makes you younger from the inside out. Your mind sharpens when it finally has the freedom to explore instead of endure. Look at the stories around you. A man who writes his first book at his 60th, and yes, the man who built KFC began his real chapter at 62. It's never about age. It is about finally having a life that gives you margin. This chapter of life doesn't shrink your world. It gives you room to follow the spark you ignored for decades. You don't apologize, you just build. And what you build becomes a mirror of who you become. Steady, experienced, quietly powerful. There's a pride that rises from that kind of growth. It settles in your posture, in the way you carry your tools, in the way your mind stays alive. When a man keeps learning, he doesn't age, he evolves. And evolution is the real privilege of a man who outgrew his limits. And this is where something surprising starts waking up in you. This is where life finally moves with you, not against you. What is the 20-year passion project you shelved and are now reviving? Tell me about it. After everything you've lived through, the pressure, the responsibility, the years of carrying what wasn't yours, this next part lands deeper than the rest. No more conflict or emotional warfare. People don't talk about this enough. It wasn't the workload that wore you down. It was the tension you came home to every night. But every man who lived through conflict knows exactly what this feels like. That's the social truth older men nod to quietly, because they've lived it. You didn't deserve that weight, and you're not to blame for carrying it. Living alone after 60 doesn't just give you space. No raised voices, No cold silence pretending to be nothing. Arguments no longer follow you into the night, and your mind finally stays steady. That steadiness is what most older men have been missing, even when they thought they were fine. Living alone gives you the power to change that direction back. Most older men don't fear love. They just fear apologizing for things they never actually did. They fear losing themselves in fights that never end or becoming responsible for emotions that don't belong to them. Living alone breaks that cycle, not by isolating you, by protecting your peace. There's no guessing game now, no tiptoeing. You walk into your home and the space stays still, not because it's empty, but because it isn't loaded. Without conflict shaping your days, you think clearer and act from a steadier place again. You've lived the proof, and you've lived the transformation too. It makes you focused. It makes you the man you were before tension started shaping your days. The truth is, a man's power grows in quiet places, not in arguments. It's about choosing environments where your strength isn't constantly tested, where your heart doesn't have to defend itself. And once you live in a home that doesn't fight you, you finally understand how much of your life was spent surviving tension you never deserved. There comes a moment after 60 when a man realizes something shocking. His life was never heavy because of age. It was heavy because it wasn't truly his. And the day the truth lands, your entire life opens. The freedom to travel and see the world on your own terms. I'll admit something men rarely say out loud. There were places you wanted to see years ago, but you were carrying too much life to take even one step toward them. Travel hits different after 60, cleaner, sharper, and more honest. You have earned that kind of freedom, and that truth hits differently after 60, because when you finally live alone, the world stops feeling far away. It starts feeling open. A man your age doesn't need luxury to feel alive. What matters now is pace, moving the way you want, without rushing or explaining. The freedom to pack lightly, to stay longer in a place that speaks to you. You start small, a coastal town you have always wondered about. And for the first time in years, you realize you don't need anyone's permission to go. A weekend getaway that used to feel impossible because your time wasn't really yours. You might visit the place you dreamed of when you were young. Every older man has at least one place he promised himself he'd see someday. I know a man who visited his dream town at 68. He said the journey felt lighter than anything he carried in his 40s. Or take the kind of trip many older men quietly long for. A journey made simply because you finally can. I know a man who did a 10-day meditation retreat in the mountains. He came back looking younger, not because the place changed him. If a line in this chapter hits something true in you, tell me which part. It helps me know what to open next. Your second life doesn't begin when everything improves. It begins when you finally do. But because he finally had room in his life to breathe and choose, traveling alone after 60 doesn't make you reckless. It makes you honest about what still moves you. It reminds you there's still a spark inside you that never went out. And each step you take builds something steady, confidence, presence, and a quiet pride in choosing your own road. This is the age where a man doesn't run from the world. He walks toward it, slow, grounded, fully awake. And when you return home, the world inside you is larger than the world you left behind. You don't travel to escape your life. You travel to see how much of it you still haven't lived. What location is waiting for the free footsteps of a man over 60? Write it down today. The spiritual depth that only solitude can open. There's a moment men over 60 know well. Life finally gets quiet enough for you to hear the thoughts you pushed aside for years. That's when clarity shows up, and you start seeing pieces of your life you haven't looked at in decades. This is where things finally click into place. Clarity tends to arrive when a man finally stops rushing long enough to hear his own thoughts. A man who lives alone finds himself pulled toward deeper things, reflection, meditation. Every older man reaches a point where he wants life to make sense, not noise. Spiritual growth after 60 doesn't look like religion or philosophy unless you want it to. Mostly it looks like a man noticing truths he used to step over. Listen closely. This part is for you. And truth lands softer when you're no longer fighting to survive the day. You understand which memories still carry weight and which ones you're ready to release. And living alone gives you that space without asking permission from anyone. What matters is the shift inside you. You're not chasing answers anymore. You're ready for the right answers to come. This chapter of your life isn't about withdrawing. It's about anchoring, becoming a man who knows what steadies him. And once you feel that depth rise inside you, you finally understand why solitude at 60 isn't a retreat. It's an awakening. The youthful energy that returns when your life finally fits you. When did you last look in the mirror and realize you don't look as old as people expected you to? Older men feel this before they fully understand it. That moment tells you something deeper than any doctor ever could. But because your days no longer feel like they're working against you, that realization hits hard for older men. You spend decades carrying tensions that don't belong to you, and the moment they fall away, your body reacts before your mind does. Energy doesn't come from age. It comes from living in a way that supports you, from living a life that doesn't work against you. And when you're single after 60, the alignment is real. Your sleep deepens because no argument steals the night. Your face softens because your nervous system finally stops bracing. People notice even before you do. You look younger, you look healthier. They're not being polite. They're seeing the absence of what used to wear you down. I heard an older man joke that his face didn't get younger. His stress just retired before he did, and that absence becomes its own kind of glow. If you've felt a shift like that lately, a small like lets me know this chapter of life is opening for you too. You see it too, even if you don't mention it. And before you know it, you are walking with a pace that doesn't match the number on your ID. You take care of your appearance because you finally have energy left for yourself. And the surprising part, you enjoy it. Because taking care of yourself finally feels like coming home. It feels like self-respect. Older men underestimate how attractive this stage of life can become. Not in a superficial way, in a presence way. A man who looks comfortable in his own skin becomes magnetic. And you feel it, the way your confidence rises without showing off. Have you noticed changes in your energy or appearance lately? Youthfulness at 60 doesn't come from trying to be young. When your mind is calm and your time is yours, your body stops aging at the speed of stress. This is why men who live independently often look sharper, healthier, more alive than people expect. Not because they're chasing youth, but because they're no longer paying the hidden costs of a life lived for others. The power to choose love without losing yourself. You might not expect this, but let me start with a question that stops older men cold. Why is it that the older you get, the clearer you become in love, yet the calmer you feel about it? Because love at this age has a clarity younger men can't understand. That question hooks any man who has loved hard, lost heavily, and rebuilt himself quietly. Love is no longer a chase. It becomes a choice with weight, because you're not willing to sacrifice your peace again. Living alone long enough teaches you something younger men can't grasp yet. Peace has a price, and anyone who comes into your life must protect that peace, not disturb it, not drain it, not drag you back into storms you already survived. Clarity becomes the real attraction. It doesn't need proving. It needs space for both people to breathe without fear. You don't get pulled by impulse anymore. Life feels different when your decisions finally match your values instead of your worries. You look at someone and immediately sense whether the future with them expands you or closes you, whether they lift you or slowly bend you back into old patterns you outgrew years ago. And here's the surprising part. The moment you stop chasing love, love becomes easier to receive. Men your age understand this deeply. You now have the right to say no without apology. The right to choose a relationship that feels steady, clean, and kind. One that doesn't punish your honesty or pressure your strength. You're choosing wisely. If someone enters your life now, she meets a man who has already shaped himself. A man who knows what he can give, what he won't give, and what he refuses to sacrifice ever again. You care deeply without collapsing into old patterns of overgiving. This is adult love, slow, intentional, grounded. Love fits into your life now, not as something you chase, but as something you welcome only if it strengthens your peace, because you're not searching for a missing half. You're already whole, and the right person, if she appears, walks beside you, never asking you to trade your peace for her approval. That is the strength of a single man at 60, loving by choice, stopping when necessary, and protecting his peace like the treasure it is. Look at the life you're living now, not the one people expected, the one you chose. There's a quiet victory in that, the kind only older men living alone understand. You finally stop fighting battles that weren't yours. Your choices come from clarity, not pressure. That clarity, it changes the way a man meets the world. And maybe this is the part nobody told you. Nothing about your story is shrinking. It's refining. There's nothing missing in you. This isn't a finish line. It's the part of life where everything finally lines up with who you've become. You didn't get here by luck. You got here by outlasting everything that tried to break you. So keep walking your path with that quiet steadiness, because the world sees you differently now. And more importantly, you see yourself differently too. Thank you for being here. This is Move or Die Stoic, a place for men who rebuild life on their own terms. That recognition is the beginning of a whole new life you're strong enough to live.